live?
What?
Are we live?
Yeah, I think we are coming in live. Yeah, we do need a red light in here that would just like shine up.
Yeah, by the ping pong
Hey,
table.
I got a notification on Chrome. It says that we're live. So we're live.
So it's official. That means
Thanks,
it's official.
Chrome.
You are really stoked
My
about the
good buddy,
notifications you're
always
getting
watching out
right
for
now.
me.
There's a lot of anger about notifications and anger about apps going on in this room right now. I feel
It's
like
just anger about notifications in Chrome, okay? My entire problem with them is they don't go away on their own.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know if it's a setting or what. I haven't figured it out
Maybe the
yet.
timeout is just really long on them. They just hang out there for like 6 minutes or something before they go away on their own.
And it's,
If you know how to send Matt a notification right now, please do that throughout the entire show.
Yep.
That would be awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. We are going live right now. This is Close to the Metal. This is our computing podcast, our weekly podcast where we go in depth with specific things with computing. And today we are talking about the Surface Pro. The Microsoft Surface Pro, there was just the announcement about all the redesigns that are coming with it. We're going to go in depth with that. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. We want to hear your comments, your questions, whatever you want to talk about with it, what you're most excited about with it. If there's some features you're excited about, I think the question that we have up specifically is, well, what feature are you most excited for on the new Surface Pro? Let us know what that is. We're going to kind of go through a review of it. We're also going to talk about the Samsung Galaxy Book and just two-in-ones in general and get into this. I'm Greg Nibbler. Let's introduce our cast here. To my right,
I'm Brad Burke.
Brad Burke, who hates apps, and
Hate them.
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith, who hates notifications. So we have that out of the way, and a little bit about everybody. So let's talk about this Surface Pro. The one thing I want to clarify, and this is a little bit confusing. So this isn't a Microsoft Surface Pro 5 or a redesigned Surface Pro 4. It is a redesigned Surface Pro, correct? Do I have this?
Do I have this
right?
It's just the Surface Pro now. They've cut it down.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
just being that name of the device. No numbers.
No numbers. So this isn't a new version.
Which is funny because
I just want to make sure this
it's
is
a new version.
It's a new version.
It's updated.
It's a new version, but it's not a Surface Pro 5.
Yeah, it's got some
an
physical
updated
changes
Surface
and some
Pro.
new hardware. Yeah.
Okay. Just the naming thing I think might confuse some people. So just want to get that out of the way. It is a new lowercase new Surface Pro.
It's funny too because Panos Panay tweeted actually like a week or two ago. I think he said like there is no Surface Pro 5. We're not working on a Surface Pro 5.
Yeah.
And at the time it felt like he was being honest that he was just like, well, we might update it, but it's just not, And now it's like, oh, you were just being cheeky because you knew you weren't going to name it that. So,
Yeah. So okay, so we know this. It is the Surface Pro, but let's get into it and talk about what kind of features, what kind of redesigns we're looking at with this new announcement. So, Brad, you want to start off first? Any particular thing that sticks out for you? I guess maybe to answer our question that we have, like what feature are you most excited for, Brad?
I actually might come as a surprise, but I think LTE is a really nice addition to these products.
Yeah.
They are like the Pro in particular. I think is really built for people to take with them, to throw in a bag, to sit down somewhere and write something or check their email or respond to something. And having that LTE that's just a nice feature. And I don't think it's something that a lot of consumers maybe are going to get into.
Yeah.
But for people who are buying it for work or buying it through their work or offices buying it for their employees, it's something that's very appealing, especially with that TPM in there, so it's still secure.
Okay. That is a good addition. Matt, what do you think about that? Are you cool with the LTE, or does that not matter to you?
LTE is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. I also like that the Core i5 model is fanless now.
Yeah.
So that's
that
good.
is one of the things they were announcing is that it is fanless. So it sounds like it runs a lot quieter. And you have a Surface Pro 4 right there, correct? That you're using.
Yeah, this is a Surface Pro 4.
Do you think that would be a big addition to have that without the fan?
I mean, it's nice. Like you don't have the the fan exhaust, and it just makes it feel a little bit more, I don't know, cohesive as a device. And also the battery life is a lot better.
Yeah, that's true. So the battery life's gone up from 9 hours to 13 hours, I think, or
13 and a half.
That's what
they're quoting.
Yeah, so that is a big difference.
That's what they're quoting.
Not
what it really is.
Brad does not necessarily believe that, but nonetheless,
I mean, he's right.
He's a skeptic. We do have some questions coming in here, so I want to see what people think about this. Again, our topic is the Surface Pro right now. We're going to also talk about the Samsung Galaxy Book and just kind of two-in-ones here in a minute. But what feature are you most excited for on the new Surface Pro? And seeing what people are, Sean, also a skeptic feature I'm looking forward to, the off button. All right, well that was a.
They already had that.
So actually it's right here.
Yeah.
If you have a Surface Pro 4, it's this little one right next to the volume rocker.
Okay.
So.
All right. So we solved that one right there. Is the new Surface Pro even remotely usable for gaming?
No.
No. Brad,
Well,
answering that.
hold on a second. Hold on a
Dispute
second.
this. All right.
Hold on a second. Remotely. An interesting thing about the Surface Pro is that the i7 model does have the Iris graphics now. So, it's not really going to be for gaming, but if you do occasionally play a relatively, not so demanding game,
Hearthstone, Terraria.
it will be able to handle that.
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, Hearthstone. Stardew Valley will run on anything.
Yeah. So will Hearthstone. Hearthstone runs on my phone. It'll run on anything.
Hearthstone,
it runs on like old 3-year-old, 4-year-old iPads. Like.
Yeah. But it's definitely better than nothing.
Yeah.
So
If there were nothing, you wouldn't be able to see any graphics on your screen. So.
Yeah, that would just be
definitely better than
a
nothing.
blank slate, and you'd have to carve things.
But I think a bigger issue, than like we have seen the Iris graphics provide a little bit of a performance boost over just the regular Intel integrated HD stuff. But I will say, I think one of the problems is when you start talking about modern titles, modern 3D titles especially. The driver support for the Intel, even the Iris graphics, just isn't there.
Yeah.
So, even things like when we tried to play on the Skull Canyon NUC, which had the really nice, high-end, brand-new HD Iris graphics, Fallout 4 just wouldn't run. Textures were broken, models were broken, physics were broken. Like, even if you could theoretically get the game to run at a playable frame rate, you have all these other issues you need to get around. So, like, remotely, you're right. You can play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 on it probably, and it'll work. Okay. But, like...
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect to play anything newer than like Fallout 3.
It's definitely like I don't think that's true. I mean, like the thing about it is that, and this always makes it hard to explain. Is like games run such a gamut right now.
Right.
Like there's a lot of like indie games that have simplistic 3D graphics or 2D graphics, and all of that is going to run on this. I would imagine. I would bet that like Heroes of the Storm will run at like low settings. Like that's the sort of stuff you can play.
So if you want to play something basic like that, or you drop down the graphics.
But if you're thinking about playing Overwatch, or you're thinking about playing, Fallout 4, or you're thinking about playing Deus Ex, the latest Deus Ex game, which is like super demanding. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Even at low settings, even with the resolution turned down,
if you're expecting to do that on any 2-in-1, though, I mean, that's just not going to work.
And I definitely wouldn't buy this thing thinking I'm going to game on this.
Yeah,
that definitely should not be the thought process going into it. Like, like you're right. Yeah. If you play the occasional game of Hearthstone or something, that's totally fine. That's going to run just fine. But if you're like, I play games sometimes and I want to buy a 2-in-1 to game on, then you're right. You can't buy a 2-in-1. Like we have yet to see one. That's like a
set up for that
2-in-1.
Some other questions coming in here, and again, we're talking about the Surface Pro, and we're going to get into some more details about what the changes are. It's the revised Surface Pro, revised Microsoft Surface Pro. A couple other questions: will it run Adobe Premiere or After Effects? I mean, I guess that's kind of hard to say unless you
sort of a similar situation there. I think where they'll run, but Premiere and After Effects are both very scalable applications, and they'll basically there will be a lot of things like live previews aren't going to really run that well. Encoding is going to be really, really slow. Effects are going to be really tiresome for your system. They're just going to weigh the whole thing down. So it'll work, but I would guess that you're going to be previewing at a really low resolution or not live previewing really at all, which is kind of hard.
But this really isn't the machine for those kinds of things,
no,
right?
No.
Yeah. So I mean, if that's what you're doing,
that machine is called the Surface Book.
Yeah.
So if you want something that's going to run Adobe Premiere and whatnot, and also can be a 2-in-1, that's what the Surface Book's for.
Yeah.
A couple other things with the Surface Pro that they have announced. It is going to work with the dial, and the Surface Pen has actually had some upgrades to it as well. So those will be compatible with the new Surface Pro. Do you think the dial? I don't know. I mean, the dial, again, is still one of those things that it's cool. It's really neat, but I don't know what a lot of the actual uses are for it yet. Yeah. And I'm sure there's more stuff that's coming.
I think for the Surface Pro, its inclusion is just kind of like, well, we want to include it. Like, I mean, it's part of the ecosystem. Of course it should support it, but I don't think that, Microsoft is really making a case that everyone's going to go out and purchase a dial.
A question coming. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say the pen is a far more useful accessory for the Pro and the Book than the
I haven't
dial
used neither of us have used the new pen. Our writer in New York got to use it. But I really like the one that they had, and the new one is like 4 times more sensitive, and
Twice.
No, I think it's 4
I thought
times.
they said it was 2048 to 40.
No, it's I think it's 1,000 something to
Oh, okay. I misread that.
4096, and
Yeah, 4096. That's what it's at. That's where it's
yeah,
at.
yeah, and it also has a feature where it can tell tilt, like what orientation it is relative to the surface.
That's cool.
So it can feel a little more natural in terms of doing like virtual breath, like stroke, like width, sort of like based on your position.
Brush
So it's
strokes.
more like an actual like
Yeah.
if you're using like a paintbrush.
Which is something it does really well already.
So it should be more natural there. So
Okay, so that's definitely an improvement.
can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, and then the other thing they talked about, the Surface Pro signature type cover has been upgraded as well.
Yeah.
Updated.
I will say
Any
I
thoughts
do
on that?
wish they included the pin.
Yeah, that the pen is not included.
Yeah, and so that's not. I mean, technically, that's not new in the sense that they took the pin out of the basic Surface Pro 4 somewhere in the middle of its generation. If I recall right, it came out with all the Surface Pro 4s, and then somewhere in the middle of that, they said that, we're going to offer a really inexpensive one or less expensive one, and it's not going to have the pin. And I don't know about that. I feel like that's kind of. I mean,
You think they should
I guess
include
I
the
can
pen?
see it both ways.
Yeah.
But it seems like the pin is just like such a part of having the Pro. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's something we can talk about too when we talk about the Galaxy Book, because there's some interesting stuff going on with the base models of each system that are sort of like you get a better deal at the base model of the Surface than you do with the base model of the Galaxy Book, but they both make a number of compromises in other areas in order to reach a much lower starting price than most of the units actually are.
Five Basher on YouTube is asking, are these the Surface tablets that you have to pay $50 extra to unlock the full Windows experience?
No.
So these will come with full Windows.
Come with full Windows 10.
Windows 10. Okay, so that's a fair question.
Thank
There are going to
God.
be some of those that, yeah. So you don't have to pay the extra money for that.
It is interesting that the base model Surface Pro, the new one, has Windows 10 and is less expensive than the base model of the Surface laptop, which does not have Windows 10. It has Windows 10s.
Yeah. It is.
So
it is
really
kinda odd.
continues to muddy the waters as to what exactly Windows 10s is.
Right. Which, I think we did a entire show about that. Still, nobody's quite sure what it is, what the point is behind that. But so this one, no, you do get the full Windows 10. And any other questions that you have for the Surface Pro, feel free to drop those in there, and we'll kind of cover them. Talked about, it's the Intel, was it 7th generation Intel Core processor? So
it starts at the M3 and goes up to the i7.
So you can upgrade up to the i7. Oh, okay.
Also upgrades to 16 gigs of RAM. You can get up to 1 terabyte of PCI Express solid state storage.
Which is another change now
pretty
that
beefy specs.
I think across the models we now get PCIe storage.
It's not across the models. It's only for the 1
base model still,
terabyte.
though? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one other question asking about why it does not have a USB-C. Does it?
Yeah, that's
That's
a
a-
good question, and I think I would say I don't really agree with Microsoft's decision on that. They seem adamant not to include USB-C, and I mean, their argument is kind of like, oh, not a lot of people have that, and I think they also like their charger.
Yeah.
So like they have that one of those charger designs where it's like you put it in and it's like nicely attached, but if it gets yanked, it'll come separate so it doesn't break anything, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's what Apple used to do.
Right. Yeah. With the
And I can definitely see the benefit of that, but I don't see the harm in also just adding one USB Type C. I mean, it would.
how
would
many
be nice.
how many USB ports does it come with? Like
Not many, like one.
Just the one, I think.
Just
yeah.
one, and it's not even. And
I mean, I think it's the same as
C.
with the Pro 4. Basically, you
I
get
think
a
it is, yeah.
USB Type A, you get DisplayPort, you get a headphone jack. There's a card reader, and
Is this one regular SD or micro SD?
And again, if you're watching live right now, Matt has a Surface Pro.
it's micro
4.
SD.
Okay.
They're both.
Uh,
I believe.
yeah.
I believe they're micro.
I just wasn't sure if that
micro
was a
SD.
change.
Okay. So talking about the Surface Pro, the new redesigned Surface Pro that has come out, and what features you are excited for. And as we're going through that, do we want to get into talking about the Samsung Galaxy Book. I know, Brad, you wanted to discuss that as well, and maybe get into that and kind of compare the two.
We can, yeah.
Okay.
If you want to,
Wow,
I mean, I don't
so
know.
so excited about
bother
it.
to you.
Well, I don't know. I've spent a few days now with the Galaxy Book, and having not spent a lot of time with the Surface Pro before, I don't know. I'm still kind of, I think, new to this landscape of tablet-based 2-in-1s.
Yeah.
But I think there's some awkwardness here. They announced it a month ago.
So
Officially
talking
on
about
sale today. This is the Samsung Galaxy Book,
Okay.
and I think it has a lot of the same qualities that previous Samsung computers that we reviewed have been, where like they sort of pick materials that are attractive and lightweight. It's a super lightweight little tablet, which is cool. It's just barely lighter than the Surface Pro, but the thing is, it doesn't really feel like the Surface Pro. I think has like a really nice kind of
Let me see that
sturdy
Samsung
premium feel
Galaxy
to it,
Book
whereas
here.
this is like it's better than it was. They've certainly improved over the last one of
Yeah.
these we've got.
Are you saying it's like so light it feels flimsy, or what?
It's
give
not
that-
as
give
bad
that to
as
Greg.
it's not as bad as the last time, but
oh, wow.
but I
That is
do
really light.
yeah, and I do
And-
sort of feel like
And give that to him. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
see,
we're
this
gonna do a
just has,
live
like-
comparison of the
Yes,
Surface.
a live
a
weight
little bit
test
more
here.
heft to it, and you can even see I can see it now that on this one
Yeah.
the Samsung has a Super AMOLED screen, which is sort of like a built for mobile originally display, and you can see that off angle it gets some really strong
Yeah.
blue discoloration.
It does. I can see the blue
which
discoloration
is
right now.
an issue, especially because the Surface Pro has like the Surface Pro, the Studio, the Book, all have some of the best screens we've tested in recent memory. They have
Really?
absolutely great panels, great contrast, great color accuracy.
And that's going to be the same with this new revised Surface Pro.
I mean, I would guess so.
assuming.
It's the
Yeah.
Pixel Sense display, and it's I think the same resolution as the one in the Pro 4.
I think so.
So,
Yeah.
but so this is it's just
Yeah, the Galaxy Book, it definitely does. You're right. There's just a different feel to it.
Yeah.
This feels sturdier. I don't know if that's the right word.
And I think a big part of it is that building a 2-in-1, and we actually had an episode about this too, that building a 2-in-1 is a really tricky thing.
It is,
Because
yeah.
it's not like building a laptop where you can sort of make compromises and say, well, we're not going to give good battery life, we'll give great performance, or we're going to make it a little heavier, but we'll have a great keyboard. And a 2-in-1 has like all of these different things going on that all have to be really on point. Because it's like if one thing is wrong, if the thing falls over backwards when you touch the screen, it becomes instantly really hard to recommend it. Or if the battery life is terrible, it becomes really hard to recommend it. So it's a really competitive category and one that has a lot of pitfalls. And I feel like Microsoft, over a number of iterations, has been getting better and better producing these devices. And this is only like Samsung's like third foray maybe into this kind of category for real computers. And so they just don't quite have the I think it's a good idea for tablet makers like Huawei and for Samsung to build these tablets because they do have a lot of experience with good tablets. And there's a lot of things that are really good there. Like it is like it's good to hold, and it's got good buttons and things like that, and good connectivity. But it's just tricky, and I think maybe it's a little off the mark.
What about performance-wise? Like,
Performance-wise, it's very similar to the Surface Pro. Base model is a Core M3, and the top-tier model is a Core i5. They don't offer a Core i7 version. And then this one actually is interesting because they offer a 10-inch and a 12-inch version. This is the 12-inch one, which has a 2160 by 1440 screen, which is odd, I know, but that's what it is. And as opposed to the 10-inch one, which has just a 1080p panel in it. And this one also has an option for LTE, which the 10-inch one doesn't.
okay.
Yeah, I think that the Galaxy Book and the Surface Pro they really represent different, coming at the problem of a 2-in-1 from different directions, which is Microsoft comes at it from a PC direction. They want this to be something that is definitely going to be extremely useful as a PC. So it's got a really nice keyboard, and the way it's constructed, it has fast processors. You can really trick it out, and the Galaxy Book, that's really taking from Samsung's experience in mobile. I mean, you mentioned the screen, and the screen is not bad on the Galaxy Book. It has some advantages. One is that the contrast ratio is absolutely out of this world on it because it's an OLED screen. But, on the other hand, I think that like the bluish tint to it, it just kind of becomes like more noticeable when you have a big screen.
Yeah.
And if you just look at the Galaxy Book, it just, it looks like an Android tablet.
Yeah.
But it's running Windows 10, and there's just something about that doesn't quite feel right.
Right.
People want different things out of a computer than they do out of a tablet, and it's not just a matter of software.
Yeah, definitely. And that the Galaxy Book doesn't have it can't be as quick. The performance isn't as good. The display resolution is not as high, and the keyboard situation is just not super.
It's very bendy.
And I think Samsung something that we really wish that they would do if they're going to do the PC stuff is that they take the PC market needs seriously.
Yeah.
I think Samsung's a very big company. Like, we all know that. They're one of the biggest companies in the world, and they've made a lot of their money off of mobile and a lot of their name off mobile. Mm-hmm. And when you see something like this, it feels like they came in, they're like, oh, yeah, a PC 2-in-1. We can do that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
we
we'll
already
put
do
something
tablets.
together.
How hard can it possibly be? And so they basically produced an Android tablet that runs Windows.
Yeah.
And that's just not quite what people are looking for. I mean, for one reason, perhaps the biggest reason of all, is I think that people are getting a tablet that runs Windows. I think we all know Windows isn't the best tablet operating system. So if you're buying it for that, you're probably buying it a little bit leaning on that PC aspect more than
less than the mobile side.
Than the, I'm going to sit down and watch Netflix aspect. I mean, that's a nice thing you can do, but it's not the reason you buy it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's see. It's being asked, is there a pen option for the Galaxy Book?
There is, and like the Surface Pro, when you buy the thing, you're just buying the tablet.
And then the pen is
separate, the keyboard's separate.
Have you tried the Galaxy Book pen?
I have.
How do you?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
This
don't have
is another area,
it's something,
though,
something
where
funny that
you
we
see the
noticed.
difference in engineering because, like the Surface Pro has the pin and it's magnetic and it attaches to the side.
Awesome, because I would lose it in a second.
And it's very.
Well, and they used to include like a
It's
little
very
loop,
slick.
right? And you would attach the loop. And
Yeah,
that's
what does
exactly what
Samsung
Samsung does. So Samsung gives you, when you get the box with the pen, you get a little rubber guy that has like a perfect little space for the pen to fit in so that the clip on the back of it sits over it and kind of holds it there with a little adhesive strip on the back, and you peel the adhesive strip and you stick it to your tablet or maybe your keyboard or wherever you want to put the pen.
Okay.
Which I think is just silly. Like, guys just like put the loop on there or put the magnet on there.
It just feels like someone like
this is
isn't that giving
Samsung.
you more
This is
options,
Samsung,
though?
and on the Chromebook Pro, it was great. They had a little thing, and you put the pen in there, and then you click the button, and the pen popped out.
Yeah, that's the ideal situation.
That's so
Right.
great. It's super easy. It can't go anywhere. You can't lose it. So I don't know what the thought was behind you give them an adhesive strip and let them stick it to the
giving you the
side. But
option.
like, I have a feeling that thing's coming. I haven't put it on because I'm not going to. But
Of course, it's going to come off
Going to come off
eventually.
in like a month.
Like,
so
Yeah,
Whoa.
if it's adhesive, it's going to fall off. Did you just fall over?
Speaking of
Almost
falling
fell
off,
out.
Okay.
Jeez.
All right.
I'm a little excited.
We're live. All right. So the pens. As far as functionality, though,
As far as functionality goes, good, and
pretty similar.
they've had some help from Google too with their sort of handwriting, sensing, and recognition tech, which has some pretty neat stuff that they say is going to be coming to this. So,
Okay.
they're definitely, it's not a bad option as far as the pen goes. And like you said, it's a good screen. It's good to look at with some issues, but
But overall,
man. But even like these ones, I really
Talking
like.
about the
I've used the
Surface
Surface
Pro
Book.
4.
Yeah, and I've used the Surface Book for a while, and I really like the pen. I actually use it for things. I use it to take notes, and I use it to write down. It just touch stuff. It just works really elegantly.
and the new revised pen now, I guess, is faster.
It's 4 times better. So
4 times better.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 times
more
better.
sensitive. It's 4 times more sensitive.
4 times more sensitive.
So
Yeah,
be
there we
careful
go.
what you say around it.
Yeah. Wow, that was
Sorry.
good. That was good. You snuck that in there. All right, so again, talking about the Surface Pro, the new revised Surface Pro, and then also talking about the Samsung Galaxy Book, or just 2-in-1s in general. And we're putting this question in there, just seeing what what feature you're most excited for in the new Surface Pro. Doubling down on the pen question for each one, which pen works better for graphics, for like technical
I
drawings?
mean, definitely the
Probably
Surface.
Yeah, the Surface pen.
Yeah.
So I guess that's your answer right there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple answer, I guess, on that one. But yeah, let us know if you have any other questions, whatever else you want to talk about with it and discussing it. So just to get back to the ecosystem of the Surface Pro, as far as the naming, again, I just want to reiterate this. So this is not a Surface Pro 5. This is a revised Microsoft Surface Pro. So going forward, that's just what it's going to be.
I
Just that
imagine
we will have
so.
the revised Surface Pro, no more numbers, throwing those out.
And I think this is why we didn't see a Surface Book 2. We saw the Surface Book with performance
Yeah,
base.
exactly.
Like this is, the Microsoft is going to move towards the same sort of consistent naming scheme where it's just the Surface Pro, and it's just every year there's a new Surface Pro, and there's a new Surface Studio, and there's a new Surface Book, and they roll out kind of infinitum, but which is that's how a lot of companies do it.
Yeah,
and it's a little frustrating for us, I think, as far as like nomenclature goes, because now we've got all these questions of like, well, we've been naming it. We all are, our last review was the Surface Pro 4 review, and now what do we do? The Surface Pro review? Well, we already have one of those.
Yeah.
So we have to say the Surface Pro 2017 review, and now you wonder, hopefully they don't update again, later in the year with another bigger hard drives or something, because now it's like, well, now we got
Surface
all
Pro
kinds of Surface Pros.
2017B.
Which is how it works with MacBooks. Someone says, oh, I bought a MacBook, and it's like, which one?
Yeah.
You could have bought like more different models over the last like 8 years, and they're all MacBooks. Like you could have bought like the black MacBook from back in 2002,
right.
and that's still a MacBook. Like, oh, I bought a MacBook. What is it? Well, it's a G4. Why? What? So,
why is it that companies are going that way?
Because it's like it's easy to like keep your branding really consistent, and you can just every year.
Surface Pro 5 does. I mean, at that point, it does just start to sound a little absurd.
Yeah, if you just keep going down.
I think
numbers,
6. I think 6 is actually the one. They could do a Surface Pro 5, and when they got to 6, that would be the one where it would go beyond a round number, and they'd have to make a
6
real
is
like
the cutoff.
Yeah, and it would probably be like the Surface Pro like Roman numerals 6 instead or something, or they'd be like, well, we skipped 6 because this one's a lot better. This is the Surface Pro 7. I don't know, just something about like it seems like companies want to get to a round number and then they want to stay there as long as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. That's the naming. So, Microsoft Surface Pro. This is the new revised Microsoft Surface Pro. Okay. Any final questions too? If you want to get those in there, just talking about this. So, the Surface Pro, it's announced. When does this go on sale? Is it
June 15th?
June 15th. Okay. Starting at $799 for the base level. Again, kind of some of the highlights of it. It's got the, let's see, you can upgrade up to a Core i7 processor, but that's not the base level.
The base is a Core M3.
Base is a Core M3. You can upgrade to an i7. The battery life has been extended from about 9 hours, I think it was before, to 13 and a half.
Yeah.
So that's definitely good. I mean, 4 extra hours of battery life on it. It doesn't have a fan, so it's much quieter.
Unless you get the Core i7.
Unless you get the Core i7. So the Core i7 does have a fan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so there's the difference in there. The new Surface Pen has also been updated, so it's 4 times as sensitive as Brad made his joke earlier. There's that improvement as well. And then talking about the Samsung Galaxy Book, so this is also on sale now. You can buy this in real stores and websites.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can buy it
Starts
from
at $629. I don't think we ever mentioned that.
No.
Okay.
And it's
So
important.
it's a little bit less.
Yeah, it's more affordable. But
let me tell you about that.
Okay.
Because it does start at $629, but there are 2 different versions. There's a 10-inch and a 12-inch.
Okay.
And the $629 price is for the 10-inch version with only a 1080p screen.
Okay.
It has 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 64 gigabyte eMMC storage drive.
which is virtually useless in Windows.
It's very slow. Not good.
I mean, like even getting past the performance. I mean, 64 gigabytes on a Windows machine, like
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. That's not gonna fly. So
and the other thing, and that 700 was a $799 price for the starting Surface Pro. You get the full resolution Pixel Sense display. You get a real SSD instead of an eMMC drive. You get more RAM. It's just like a much better deal in general, I think. I think the 12 starts at the 12-inch Galaxy Book 11 or Galaxy Book starts at $1129.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is a version with the i5 and a
$1129.
and 4 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabyte SSD.
Something to note though, is that the Samsung Galaxy Book comes with the keyboard and the pen, and if you get the Surface,
it's also included there. Okay.
they get the Surface, you have to pay for both of those.
So that's an upgrade.
So that's I don't know off the top of my head exactly what the prices are, but if I recall right, it's going to be around $150 to get those. So you talk about $799 to start, then you're looking at actually around $950-ish the start for the Surface Pro. So it is a more expensive system. It is a more capable system, but it's always been true with the Surface Pro. It's an expensive thing, and so you're gonna have to pay for the extra hardware,
right?
Unfortunately.
Let's see. Braxton on Facebook is asking, will it have the full capabilities of Windows 10 Pro, I suppose, for each one of these? Is that?
I'm not sure about the version of Windows that comes with this. It's Home on the Galaxy Book, at least.
I think the Surface Pro comes with Windows 10 Pro, but
We'll have to. Yeah, I guess that's something we're not 100% on. So yeah, we'll have to verify that whether it does come with Windows 10 Pro.
Has
But
Pro right in the name, you'd think it would.
I know you would think,
so.
but
I don't
yeah,
even-
but that
even-
could be a little bit of a tricky one. So
Did the Studio come with 10 Pro, or was that 10 Home?
I mean, I don't remember.
I mean, the uses for Windows 10 Pro over Windows 10 Home are pretty niche. I think to the point where if like you really need it, you're just gonna buy the upgrade anyway because
Yeah.
it's pretty cheap to upgrade. So
Yeah.
it tends to be like domain stuff and vPro and or not vPro, but like the VMware tools that are built into Windows and things like that. It's very like most home users, unlike kind of previous
Windows 10 Pro.
It does come with Pro.
Yes.
So,
okay,
yeah.
solved.
If you need those things,
Question answered.
yeah, it has them.
Then that's
Also,
it.
a 30-day trial of Office 365.
Yeah, like every computer comes.
I
with
think
that now.
yeah.
And if you get a Dell, you get Dropbox, and if you whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, we get Dropbox. Whoa.
Well, so there we go. Any final thoughts? So again, this is kind of we've been talking about the Microsoft Surface Pro, the new revised version, and the Samsung Galaxy Book, 2-in-1s in general, just kind of comparing the two. If you have any final questions, let us know what those are. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this, on the new Surface Pro? Like, Matt, you've got the Surface Pro 4. Are you going to get this new revised Surface Pro?
Well, I'm not going to get it because I'm constantly flooded with review units. I never use a laptop for probably more than a few weeks at a time.
Yeah.
But, I think that if you're a Surface Pro fan, and if you have the Surface Pro 4, probably, I don't think it's like an immediate upgrade sort of thing.
Yeah. But if you're sitting at a 3,
Unless you're sitting there on a Surface Pro 4 and you're frustrated by the battery life.
yeah.
I think that is the one thing where some people who are using the Surface Pro 4 might find it worth the upgrade.
LTE maybe. In
Well, yeah, in
specific
LTE,
situations,
because
people
obviously
might want the
it's
LTE
available now and
option.
it wasn't before. And if you want LTE, you got to get the new one. Now, if you've got an older Surface, any of the older models, I think the Surface Pro 5, not 5, Surface Pro.
The new revised
Whoa,
Surface
you got me there,
Pro.
Microsoft. I think the Surface Pro is going to be a great option for you. It's going to have a
Yeah.
higher resolution display. It's going to have a much faster processor, much better battery life, thinner. Unless you get the Core i7, it's not going to have a fan anymore. The pin's going to be way better. So, yeah, and I still think the Surface Pro is one of the the premier Windows 2-in-1s. It's got some good competition now from like the HP Spectre 360 and the Dell XPS 2-in-1, but it's still one. The fact is, the detachable keyboard still makes it one of the best for actually using as a tablet every now and then. So
Cool.
Here's a question: do you think that? Never mind, I forgot my question.
I do think that yes.
Fantastic.
good
I'm glad
point,
we've
Brad.
worked that out. All right. So, so there we go. The Surface Pro. You can read the full review at digitaltrends.com about about the big announcement about it and find out all the details there. Also, the Samsung Galaxy Book full review, I think,
It'll be up soon.
later at
this week.
digitaltrends.com. And this is Close to the Metal. Again, this is our computing podcast. We do this every week live on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube and Facebook, and then up as a podcast after that. So you can go there, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, so that way you can get all of our episodes. I don't know what we're talking about next week, but something awesome and computery. That's
Oh,
what
I
we're
remember
gonna
my
cover.
question.
There it is. Okay, thanks.
Do you
Got it
think
there.
that the
Got
good
it
enough
right
deals
after I wrap up.
on the
That's
Surface
good.
Pro 4
Wait.
are worth picking up?
Wait, what?
Like, if there's a good deal on the Surface Pro 4 now, do you think that'll be something that was worth picking up for people?
Define a good deal.
Like $100, $200 off maybe on the price? Do you think that's enough, or should people be going for the
I don't know. I would stick with the new
new
one.
one?
Okay.
I'm just curious.
All right.
I just want to get
any
that out,
last
so I didn't
questions?
feel like, no, that's
Anything
it.
else that we want to?
I had just forgotten that. I
Wanna throw in
got
there?
halfway through that one.
Okay.
so.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that answered. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week with another episode.